You're live.
Hey everybody, smack 'em a gob. It's almost human alive again. And this may be the first time we talk about a movie, is it? Or did we do an episode on Trick or Treat?
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah, that's where Ralph was with us last. Count Ralph was with us
Yeah.
last time.
yeah, so we're doing another horror one, but if you don't mind, the next time we talk about a movie on Almost Human Alive, I'd like to talk about one of those Doro, you know that Dora, the animated little girl.
The
Yeah,
Explorer?
Yeah, Dora the Explorer. I want to talk about one of her.
Good idea.
I think that's part of part 4. I think she's going to be part of part 4. I think it takes place on a ship.
I'd rather see Doro the Explorer.
But hey,
Doro's done a couple of movies. She's been in a couple of movies, but I think they're like done in German, and stuff. Some kind of I saw some footage of her in some movie that she did probably like 10 years ago.
Like acting and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Exploring Dora, I think it's called.
So hey, this week we got Count Ralphus with us. How you doing, Count Ralphus?
Thanks for having me back. Let's talk some slasher flicks.
I like that shirt. Yep. And as always, Wayne Noon and Tony Dio.
And Wayne is wearing his glasses that like Art the Clown wore in Terrifier 2 in the costume shop scene.
And he won't be speaking this whole episode like Art the Clown.
Just point and laugh silently.
So anyway, it's an instant phenomenon, ain't it?
It is.
It really is. It really is. I heard about Terrifier from this guy that worked at my job. He always wore the Terrifier shirts, and I'm like, what the hell is that thing? Because I had blood all over and everything. I'm like, what is Terrifier? And it's like, it's the best movie ever. And this was when the first one came out. So I watched.
Can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
What kind of job do you have that you have somebody working with you that has a Terrifier shirt on?
I work at the post office.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody that works at
there you go.
But he's in the back, right? With the mail.
He's in the he actually takes care of, well, he's not there anymore. He left. He went.
He's coming back. He's going to come back and shoot up the place. He's going to post.
Yep, go postal.
No, he was a younger guy. Very
anyway, cool. Go ahead, finish your story.
But so no, he told me about what the shirt was and what the movie was. So I'm not really into the gory horror movies, so I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to see it. But he was like so insistent on how great the movie was, so I said, fine, I'll watch it. And I've been a fan ever since that first movie. We started with the All Hallows Eve first and watched that. And Art's not in the whole thing. He's only in like half of the movie. But it was cool to see like how he started, and then watch the first actual movie, which was really good, I thought. So I've been a fan ever since. Big fan. See, I bought the glasses. So
I found out about Terrifier through you on this this show, Almost Human Live. You kept talking about Terrifier, and then I remember seeing it. I don't know, it was on a Tubi or something.
Yeah, I think it's on Tuesday.
Oh, there's that movie Wayne talked about. I'll watch that, and damn, that was good. And then I saw part 2. This is in the span of just a month or two.
Right.
I just newly got into this.
Right.
Wow. And I went to the theater to see part 3. And
yeah, I didn't see part 2 in the theater. I saw that on Amazon or whatever, or Shudder or whatever it was on.
Hey, Count Ralphus, how did you find out about Terrifier?
I gotta say, man, it's I was the guy at work telling everybody they have to watch it before anybody ever fucking talked about it. It appeared on Netflix as a new release, and at that point, I was just watching every new horror movie that came out on Netflix, and or new releases that were horror movies. And when I seen it, it was one of those movies that like it looks low budget. I was thinking I was going to just fall asleep to it, And I loved it right off the bat. I couldn't believe how good it was. I was talking to everybody about this special scenes in that movie that you just don't see. You haven't seen at that point for a long time in movies. Like things just got like there's that torture porn stuff and stuff, but it's not. There was nothing like it when I seen it, and everybody that would ask me what's the good horror movie to watch, I go check out Terrifier. It's right there on Netflix because it appeared on Netflix first, and I had actually seen All Hallows Eve already, but I didn't even put it together at the time that they were like the same character or anything, and I just started talking about it like crazy, and I actually met him, Howard Thornton. I met him right after the first movie came out. Like I was such a big fan, and when I met him at the horror convention, there was like no line for him or nothing.
Wow.
You could just go right up to him. I got this picture with him. Uh, it's kind of hard to see, but he's not so terrifying in person.
But he's wearing the hat.
And he's wearing a Goonie shirt too. But it was great. There was no line for him. Got to talk to him. But he was so happy that people were like already there was already this buzz going. But I was into it, like when you said it was instant, like an instant success. Like to me, it was instant when I first seen it, but it seemed like it needed to be built up. It had to get a cult status right away, and it already did before the part 2 came out. When I went to go see part 2, I heard it was only going to play for the weekend, and it did so good that it played for like almost like the whole month. It just was there. And the same thing with this part 3. Even I had to get tickets. I got the last seats in the theater on Wednesday or Tuesday to see it, and it was sold out like all weekend and stuff. So I think they're going to keep in theaters a little longer. They should keep it at least till Halloween. But I seen part 2 in the theater at the drive-in actually, and it was awesome because there was a car parked in front of us, and it was like a bunch of like metalheads, and they were cheering every time Art killed somebody, and it was like so funny. They were like high five, and they were outside the car and hanging out partying, and we were just like there with our dogs and stuff, and it just made me smile to watch these people. And it wasn't that packed at the drive-in, so part 2 still wasn't like, even though it did really good, it wasn't like people were filling up the whole movie theater, the drive-in there, But I had to see this one in the theater too. I love the franchise.
How about you, Tony? How'd you find out about Terrifier?
I discovered it the All Hallows Eve movie on Tubi and watched that, and like you said, Art's not in the whole film, but he's in two different, this like couple little short stories, and he's in two different ones, and it's actually a different actor that plays him. Then it's not David Howard Thornton. It's a different actor. And there's two short pieces that he's in. And then the very first one, he looks different than he in the last one, the one where he's in the car chasing the girl in the car and all that. If you've seen it, that's just a crazy scene too. He looks more like Art now in the last segment than he does in the first. A little.
You know what happened really quick with that was that there was a movie called The Ninth Circle. It was just a short film with Art the Clown. It was his introduction, and that's the first story in the All Hallows Eve. And then they turned it into a 3-part movie, and then so the other scenes are shot at the end of the movie. They redid them and stuff. And then by the time he does Terrifier 1, it's a different actor, but they put the prosthetics where it has like the high cheekbones and nose and the
nose. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because he didn't have that in the first segment. But I saw that and I thought that was really cool. And kind of like Ralph, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I run across Terrifier and I start watching it, and I was telling Linda, I was like, this is that same clown that was in that other movie we watched, And but yeah, he is like the creepiest clown ever. And I've got a couple of friends that are terrified of clowns, so they'll never watch that. I watched Terrifier 1 the other day with a friend of mine was over here and made him sit through it, and he didn't like clowns. And all he said was, this movie has no plot. It goes nowhere. I'm like, yeah, it's just gore, And I mean, it is a little bit of a plot in the first one. You've got Victoria. She's kind of the heroine. She's trying to rescue her sister, But he goes, yeah, that's why I like stuff like Hellraiser. There's a story behind it, But it's like, so I saw the first one, and then we went and saw the second part in the theater. We've got these really cool theaters here in North Carolina. They're all over the country, called Alamo, and really cool place to see a movie.
Do they have a
And,
basement?
No.
No.
What? Why?
The Alamo.
Did Ozzy pee on it?
No, yeah, Ozzy's banned from it probably. So, but they're cool. They're one of these restaurants where it's like, I mean, it's a movie theater, but they serve food and stuff. But they have like a outside bar area, and they have like video rental where you can rent VHS tapes and stuff. Very old school throwback, 80s style. But and they always show crazy little films when you're sitting waiting for the movie to start. So when we went to see Terrifier 3 last weekend, same thing. It's all this weird little short clown movies. And since Terrifier 3 is a Christmas movie, so to speak, there was these little horrific Christmas shorts they were showing. I mean, it's where they dig this stuff up, man. I mean, it'd be like, Ralph, that'd be the ultimate job for you to go to be working for Alamo, and they say, Ralph, find us some cool stuff, find us some, weird stuff to show before we show this feature that ties in with this. But yeah, I saw the second one in the theater and loved it. One of the goriest films I've ever seen. I mean, I've always put like Dead Alive like way up there as one of the just bloodiest, goriest films. Is one of Peter Jackson's early films. And
I actually seen that in the theater, Tony. It played for one weekend. It was supposed to play for one weekend. I think it only played one night, and me and a bunch of my friends went. And I don't know anybody else who's seen it in the theater, but that was that was the goriest movie for decades. Nothing topped that as far as that.
You went and saw in the theater when it was new?
Yeah, it was brand new in the theaters. It was a limited run, and it was only playing for that weekend. But I think it only played the one night. And even the night we went, there was like only a few people in there. I had read about it in Fangor, and I made a bunch of my friends go with me to go see it. It was like a late show, and we bring beers in there and stuff. It was cool.
I saw it in the theater years after, and it was the first time I saw it, and it was a double feature, and they were both awesome movies. Basket Case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
I saw a double feature, and I love both those. I own both those movies.
Yeah, I'm a huge Basket Case fan. I met the main actor from Basket Case, who was also like helped make the movie and stuff.
I love that movie, man.
You guys have seen you've seen Peter Jackson's film for Bad Taste.
Brain
correct?
Dead.
Yeah.
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste, that's a gross one too. But yeah, Dead Alive is like so up there as far as a gore movie. And
it's so bloody. It was almost like the band Gwar made that movie. Like when he's spinning that lawnmower around and he's just killing everybody with the lawnmower. That was fucking
the scene where dude walks through a bunch of zombies with ride like a push mower. He just holds it up and walks through them with the blade turning, and it's just blood everywhere.
Yeah, he was
so Terrifier. Terrifier 2, I was just like, God, they have topped it. I mean, the scene, the bedroom scene with the girl. What was the girl's name? I jotted her name down. It was Allie. She was the chick's name. Yeah, that is one of the most brutal scenes I have ever seen on anything. And when I watched it again the other night, to prepare for this episode, because I hadn't watched it in a while, and I was thinking, God, part 3 was really gory, but I don't think it topped that scene. Still,
I don't think so.
That scene is just, God, it's brutal, man. It's like that's the kind of scene that people get up and walk out of because they just can't take it. I look at it, I'm going, oh, this is all fake. I know it's not real, but some people just can't divide
scene,
that, man. They can't separate it.
You know what it was? It was the lead up to that scene. He kills her mother, and then he does that to the girl. It's just like, oh my, all that in like a short span of time.
But he gets the mother after. The mother walks.
Oh, it was after? Okay. Yeah. Yes, that's right. That's right.
He did, because he made a trick or treat pumpkin out of the mother's head.
Yes. Been a while. been a while
Yeah.
since I saw that movie, but
Yeah, I
that
was like-
that was just it was just heartbreaking, that whole thing. And that's the one thing that I didn't like about part three. Nothing, even though like I listened to interviews and people saying there's some scenes in it that's going to top that, but I don't think nothing in part three topped that scene. I don't think you're really going to.
There's one scene. There is one scene.
Man, I can name you two. Look, that bedroom scene is the topper. I'm not saying it's not. But man, even part one, the part where he cuts that girl in half, dude. Come on.
No, that was bad.
With a freaking, and he's just using just a regular saw. He's just it's not a chainsaw or anything, man. It's
fucking crazy. And then I'm not going to give you no spoilers for part three, but man, the shower scene. What he does to the dude, not so much the girl's bad enough, but what he does to the dude in the shower scene, fucked up. And also that other scene where he uses a box cutter, and that's all I'll say about that. I thought those two scenes and that chick getting sawed in half was the most brutal of all of them. And a lot of people were saying the opening scene of part three fucked a lot of people up. It was fucked up, but I don't think it's fucked up as all the other scenes I'm talking about.
That's got Chris Jericho is in that scene.
No, I'm talking about the opening.
He's talking about the opening
with the kids. With the kids.
Oh, the kids. But, yeah.
But that shower scene, Ralph. I just heard that they spent 8 days filming that whole sequence, and supposedly there's like 8 days of film that they didn't. They edited out so much of that scene. It was already kind of long, but supposedly there's a lot that they like. You see what he's doing with the saw. It only shows a couple seconds. Supposedly it's kind of like the first one where, and that was the greatest thing about the first one. When I seen the first one, when they did that chainsaw, the hacksaw scene, most movies, the hacksaw would go down. Maybe you'd see a splash of blood and then you'd hear the screaming and it'd be dark or something. But this movie just kept going back to him, going and going. It just kept going. And then I was just like, this fucking movie rules, because it was breaking that boundary of like, let's just keep it going and going. And it's something you just don't see in the theaters or in movies.
And you know what? And I hope they never explain it. No. The whole superpower, getting your head chopped off.
I think it's all going to get explained in the next one, because
I hope they don't, man. And I hope
the way it ends, the way it ended in the third one, like you said, you don't want to give spoilers, but it ends in a way where you could see where the supernatural aspect is really going to come in the next one. Like that's one of the things I loved about the first one. It didn't seem like there was like that he just seemed like a crazy serial killer. It was so dirty and grimy.
Yeah,
but then all of a sudden in part two, there was like all this crazy story, and at first I didn't really like it. Like I loved it because it was over the top gore, and that's really what I don't give a fuck about the story. I'm a Cannibal Corpse fan. I'm going there like that's what I'm going for. But it's cool now when I rewatch them and over. I love the story now. It's like it's pretty cool that there's like a story going on to it and stuff. And I think in the part four is when I think he's like a demon. He's some kind of demon or he's possessed.
Well, in part two they brought up that Sienna and Jonathan's father was like a cartoonist, and he had gotten a brain tumor and was having these visions, and he was seeing all this stuff, and they're trying to I think that's going to get exposed in part four, because they're going to probably go more in depth about try to find out what their father had seen, or maybe something's going to turn up to explain that more. But he knew something was coming because he was drawing pictures of art and stuff like that, and then he created that super heroine character that was based on Sienna, and
I think that story arc is already done, though. I think because they mention it in two, and then in this one there's those flashbacks when he grabs the drawing from her and they have like this weird little thing. I think that kind of is like as far as they're going to go with that. And I think the next one, I think they're going into hell to like save people that might be in hell. We don't want to give up like what's going on, but
she's got the sword still. she's got this magic
Yeah.
sword. It's just like,
Well, the that story part is still definitely going to be, that's the whole character of her, which is great too. Is that it's like a continuing story and it starts from where the last one left off. I love it when movies do that. You know, some movies just like ignore the previous movie and they go off. You know, this was great how the new one, it's like they take a rest for like 5 years and she's in the bathtub, the one girl, and they just sit there for 5 years. And then when the new people come in the house, it gets fucking nuts.
yeah,
And
it's
that
like,
to me, that's the one scene that's the that's the ultimate torture porn scene is in part three, where she's got that piece of glass and she's getting over on watching his face getting ripped off. That to me was the one scene in this one where, you know, each movie has that one scene. To me, that was it. But it was like, then at the end, Art's like, tis like bad girl, like doing that. You know, it's like it has that sick humor, and you have to have that sick humor throughout it, or else it's kind of like the band Macabre. If you're a fan of the band Macabre, they sing all about serial killers, but they do it in like a funny way. It's not like praising serial killers. It's like you got to have like a dark humor to make it like kind of work. And I think that's what Terrifier does great. You know,
I got to tell you a little funny story. You just brought up Macabre. I love Macabre. I love the Dahmer album. Anyway, I used to be part of this radio show, and you know, people that would call, we put them on speaker. Hey, what's going on? This guy called, and he was like, "Hey, man, can you play some Macabre?" We're like, "Who? Macabre." I don't know who that is. You never heard of Macabre?
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to pull it out. I got a fully signed Dahmer Gatefold album. The whole band signed it for me. I love those guys. They're one of my all-time favorite bands.
I like murder metal too.
Oh yeah, I love Sinister Slaughter is my favorite, but I love the Grim Reality, the first one. Gloom is fucking awesome. Everything they did is they're one of my all-time favorites.
We're talking about
that's why these movies are perfect for me, because that's the kind of music I like.
It's horror.
They go.
It's horror.
Yeah, they should have a death metal soundtrack on Terrifier.
Ice Nine Kills is like has the main song on it, I think on the movie, right?
I was just watching the making of the video.
It's a terrible song.
I saw the video, but the song was terrible.
It's so bad. But
I watched the making of the video, and I didn't watch the making of the video. Richard Christie's getting his throat slit, and it was just like I didn't even watch the music video. I just watched the making of it. But it looks like pretty cool.
Richard Christie's in
people
the video.
Getting killed at a concert. Yeah, he gets his throat slit by terror. He shows up. He's like, he's so happy to be there to get Art the Clown that slit his throat. You know.
I have to look that up. Yeah, it's so many. Like I was talking about part two, and another one that when it was what's her name? What's her Sienna's friend's name? Brooke. They're at that fun house place, and her boyfriend goes out to piss, and he basically goes up there and just whacks it off.
Oh,
that was really brutal, man. And he was just standing there laughing and doing all this, just doing it. You know,
that makes me wince. You think you're desensitized to it sometimes, but that scene, I was like, whenever you see something like that, it's fucking brutal.
Yeah, getting castration or something. Yeah, it's just it's crazy.
And then Art's rubbing it on the window. He's rubbing it on the window afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed when a scene in All Hallows Eve, when I went back and watched that, when there's a scene with the girls in the car, and she keeps passing Art on the side of the road, and he's holding the circus sign, and then that's the same sign that was on Tara, the character of Tara, when she was in the chair. She had this when Victoria finds her, she's got the same circus sign on her. So they use some of the same props and stuff. Yeah. But that
was another one of the great things about the first movie is that girl, you think for sure is the final girl. Like she's the whole beginning of the movie. She seems like the sensible one. She's really likable. When she gets her, you had to wait till she got 3 bullets in her face before you realize, okay, she's not the final girl. And then they bring the sister in.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that they didn't do much with Victoria in part 2 except at the end. And but it's cool that they made her Art's sidekick in the new one. But I was kind of expecting to see the little girl again, the little pale girl.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I like her a lot. I was bummed not to see her in part 3.
But that's
Well,
she's like
she grew a couple. She probably grew like 2 feet since then, so it probably wouldn't have worked as good. But they could have got somebody else, I guess.
yeah, she's been. I think that actress has been doing some appearances at horror conventions and stuff as well. But she's like a figment of Art's imagination, I think.
I thought it was an imaginary
Right,
friend,
yeah.
but then Elliot does see her, and so does Sienna sees her. And
Maybe it's
then
just
if you look at
them.
when they're looking through
Sister.
they're looking through the father's book, and they see an article about a 10-year-old girl who was a victim, and it seems like whoever Art was as a human, he murdered this kid. So there's that one little clip that shows that he's some kind of child killer as a human before he becomes this like demonic thing that he is.
That
That
first
first-
scene.
Yeah, the first scene with the little girl when they're playing patty cake, like the guy that's there doesn't see her. Just
It
see
is.
Mm.
You know, I don't know what kind of detergent that Art uses, but man, he really cleans up well, doesn't he? I mean, blood is hard to get off white,
Yeah.
and it cleans up very
Well,
well. They should have him do some
when
detergent bleach commercials.
when he gets on the train in the new one, it's like there's another Art the Clown going out on Halloween, and he sees him and he's with the girl. It's all disfigured, and he's all bloody. And then he looks over and he smiles, and he sees this guy as Art the Clown. He wants to take a picture of him and stuff. But then the next time you see Art, he's got a nice clean suit on, like his outfit is all clean. So it's like he probably he killed the guy on the train.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a couple of
Yeah.
kills
About
that you don't see. There's a
Yeah.
couple of kills you don't see. Like the father that when Sienna's staying at the house, you don't see him, but you see him hanging on the wall. And then there's a head, and he puts the glasses on the head. First, you think it's the little girl, but then he puts the glasses, you think it's the brother. But now you've got to wonder, like, that's probably the father's head, and the brother, little Elliot's probably got to be part 4. I think he's still alive. Like they
Yeah,
didn't
gotta
show
be.
his death.
He's a
screen,
main character.
and-
They're not gonna kill him off.
Yeah.
Showing.
It was an off-screen kill, so you got to think he's still alive.
It was crazy when I was watching part 2 and Elliot shows up. I'm like, that's little punk people.
Yeah.
He's been interviewing people on YouTube for like a decade when he was a little kid.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
What? You didn't know that?
Oh,
it's called Little Punk People. And when I saw that, when I first saw him in part 2, I was like, this kid can act. Even though it's B movie acting, I thought he was really good.
He was.
He
And
got
he
even
did
better
very
in the
well.
new one. I thought in the new one he did even better. But yeah, I can't believe he didn't know Little Punk People. He's interviewed
No idea.
Slayer and Cannibal Corpse and like everybody. Anybody.
My
that came
favorite
through.
is Phil Anselmo. Phil Anselmo.
Yeah.
He interviewed Phil Anselmo, and Phil Anselmo was just fucking with him because he was a little kid at the time. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he was like
That's
9 or
why-
10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why when you see his bedroom, he's got like a Hella Waits autographed. I did the thing like I did in the Trick or Treat where I paused it and everything. I took so many notes. I'm trying to find it, but I paused it and I seen all the little things, that
In his bedroom on the walls. Yeah.
yeah. There's a
Yeah,
possessed shirt hanging out of his drawer and
King
stuff. It almost looks
Diamond.
like, and it's his artwork. Yeah, there's King Diamond. There's a Slayer Testament Carcass tour poster. Trying to think I have it written down,
I
but
saw the Hella
got
Waits
some-
cover on the wall. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah, it's an autographed Hella Waits.
The funny thing is, though, he's actually a musician, but he plays all acoustic music. He doesn't play like heavy metal. It's
Oh,
all
it's-
acoustic.
It's horrible. It's
Yeah,
like some
it's like
kind of
where does that come
awful.
from?
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah.
He actually went to Rock Fantasy too. Me and Tony's friend Steve Keeler, he went to Rock Fantasy and did a whole episode there, which was really cool of his little
Killer.
punk people.
Yeah, I just looked it
Cool.
up. I never ever saw that. No idea. But I went to go see part 3 on Friday, the day it came out, and I bought the tickets the day before. So me and my wife were all excited to go. And we get to the movie theater. The guy says, "Oh, it's an auditorium 6." We're sitting there. It's like 7:00. We said we're gonna get there early, so we just relax and we're ready for the movie. 7:18. The movie starts at 7:20. The theater is empty. I'm like, what are these people waiting for the last minute to get in here? So all of a sudden the previews start, and it's all children things. There's a Lego movie. All these kids, the Wizard of Oz thing was coming on. All these kids things. I'm like, what is going on? I had no idea. I go outside, check the auditorium, making sure we're in the right thing. Sure enough, yeah, it's the same room. It's the right room or whatever. Another guy gets up. They must have been like, what the hell's going on? He comes back in, gets his wife. They leave. So all of a sudden, my wife's like, let's just get out of here and go see what's going on. Sure enough, we go outside, ask the girl, this other girl that wasn't there when I went in. She goes, oh no, they moved Terrifier to the room next door. Meanwhile, we've already missed like 10 or 15 minutes of the movie.
Oh,
so I didn't get to see the beginning. I saw it on YouTube the other day, but I didn't get to see the Jericho thing. I didn't get to see the little, the kid Christmas thing in the the beginning. So we kind of started it after that attic scene where they found him in the rocket chair, and then we got the guy with the knife or whatever. So I was kind of it was a bad night. I was so pissed because I really wanted to see that first 10 15 minutes.
That's crazy. That's funny, man. When I was a little kid, the first time I ever saw Star Wars, my dad dropped me off at the theater so I could go see it, and I go in and I sit down. It's when it's two theaters, and it's just two theaters, and they're showing a Zorro movie, like black and white old, Zorro movie from back in the day, and I'm watching it, and I'm probably 20 minutes in, and I finally walked out back out to concessions, and I asked, did Star Wars play after that? And they said, no, kid, you're in the wrong theater. Pointed at the other. So I missed like the first 20 minutes of Star Wars. So I had to go back and see it again like the next week.
It's the worst, man. And I really wanted to see that. Like I said, I was listening to an interview, and the guy that made the movie is like the first 10 minutes is like one of his favorite parts of the movie. Of course, I had to miss that first 10 minutes. I mean, I could have stayed. I could have waited to the next showing, which was right after, but it was late already.
I was actually in the jungle. The movie I was there that I was in to see if I'd stay was the Jungle Book. I was trying to see Star Wars. Yeah, it's crazy.
When I went to see Return of the Jedi, I got tickets early in the day because back then you couldn't buy them in advance, so you had to like go to the theater, buy it like a couple hours early, and then when we went into the theater, it was completely sold out and you couldn't sit down. So we actually sat down in the aisle and just had to watch Return of the Jedi sitting in the aisle the whole time.
Wow!
Because we couldn't find a seat in there. But
Terrifier 2, I think, is the best one to me so far. I mean, I gotta go back and watch part 3. I watch it, see it all the way through because I missed those first 10, 15 minutes or whatever. But part 2, I think there was just so many things, like even like with Art the Clown being like, so he was kind of like a comedian, especially the part with these glasses, when they're in the magic, not the magic shop, the Halloween costume place or whatever.
Let me cut you off for a second though.
Go ahead.
How funny was Art the Clown in part 3 when he was eavesdropping?
When he was eavesdropping, what part was that?
Yeah. Remember the girl was talking about she didn't want to fuck him.
Oh yeah, yes, that was funny.
That was hilarious. His little, like, oh, I don't want to fuck him. He's like, that was a really funny scene with Art.
It was funny, but I think the one in part 2 was funnier because he was trying on all the different glasses. He was sitting there, and it was like you don't see the guy standing there, like doing all these things, So it was pretty funny. I thought
it's great how he doesn't speak and he doesn't do the corny one-liners. There's no corny one-liners throughout the whole time. He's a silent killer. And Jason and Michael Myers, they don't speak, but there's no emotion in them,
No.
Yeah, where like he's almost like a Freddy Krueger, but he doesn't say anything, which is so cool.
But the thing to me that makes Art cooler than Freddy Krueger is that in my opinion, this is my opinion, Freddy Krueger cannot be topped. I think he's even better than this Art the Clown in part 1. That's it. Because after that, it became slapstick and not bad. There were some funny, cool scenes, but part 1, it was much darker character. That just he didn't sit around with jokes, and shit. It was where Art the Clown in part 1 of part 3, it's the same goddamn character. It's the same. He still, like in part 1, what he does in part 1 is exactly what he does in part 3 and 2. He's just a silent, demented clown that laughs without, You
You're
know,
not even laughing. It's a silent laugh. It's
yeah, it's a
hilarious.
silent laugh, and he's fighting, and it's just doing
It's
all
cool
those-
how
Yeah.
they don't change him, but they change his like friends. Like he's got the little girl with him in the second one, and then he's got the victim from the first one as his like partner in the third one. So that's what changes, but not him. He doesn't change.
and the little girl talks. Remember when she's
Yeah.
on the phone acting like Elliot?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, she does imitations of voices and stuff. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And the girl in the third one, she talks. She does some talking for
Yeah.
him. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, Victoria. Yeah, she's I love, how she, when they go in the asylum room, and she's written that drew the heart with Art and Vicky. Like, but then, the end of after the credits on the end of the second part, when they go in there and she's supposedly giving birth to Art's head. It's like, that is the strangest thing,
That was
So that's where all the
weird.
supernatural stuff starts coming into play as well.
Right.
It's like, you can't kill him. I mean, he's been shot, he's been stabbed in the head, everything. I mean, he shot himself once.
Right.
I mean, he's been beheaded. You can't kill him.
the thing I thought was weird is that he kills the cop in the beginning of the third one, and he ends up wearing his head to go sit on the train so he can go, because he's got his body with no head. So he's going to the hospital to get his head. But then when he shows up at the hospital in Chris Jericho scene there, he's walking down the hallway with no head. Like, what happened to that head that he had? I thought it was
the little girl stuck the head. She walked off with it.
No. I'm talking about the black guy cop's head that he had. He was wearing on the train. And then when he goes and he's about to get his head back at the hospital there, and Chris Jericho's there, he's fighting with him, but like his head was gone. I thought they had a missed opportunity there. He should have walked over there with the head, and Jericho should have punched the head and should have flipped off, and then he should have been like, it's like we didn't see what happened to his head. He just like didn't need the head no more, and he
probably just threw it.
Even that, he could have took the head off right at the end and like smashed Jericho in the head with the head. Hey, that would have been a great one. They missed out on that scene. They could have did something better there.
That's one of the funny reactions that he always has, like when he's just tired or something. He just says, he walks off, he's just it's just funny.
The other funny scene,
he's the best horror villain in a long time. That's for sure.
He is. I think the funniest scene in the third one, though, to me, is when he meets Santa Claus. He goes in that bar, he sees him outside the bar, and he's pointing at
Daniel Roebuck, and it was Daniel Roebuck and
Clint Howard.
Clint Howard. Yeah. The only thing I did like about that scene is when Santa Claus, when he was doing stuff, I don't want to give too much away, but when things were happening to Santa Claus, he was saying "clowny, clowny." That was kind of stupid. Why are you calling him?
It was cool because he was trying to be nice to him.
He's trying to be nice to him, but why
he wasn't being
clowny?
a dick. Well, and then I like that he goes, "Hey, don't pull on the beard. Only real Santa has the real beard." And of course, Art doesn't leave that place without a real beard. That was awesome.
Yeah,
and he pees on his leg when he sits on his lap, which is
Right.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That was great.
Yeah. Art likes using body fluids for art.
Yeah, it happens once in a while. Somebody in the Ron Dearmer, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, there is no origin story. He says, "Who is he? Why is he doing what he's doing? Why are all the other people? Who are all the other people? Never any mention of what's going on." It's slowly coming out, I think.
I just hope it doesn't, man. I know you guys want it, but I
would like to know.
I don't. I want it to remain this crazy mystery.
I don't like it. It's like when Johnny Depp did the Willy Wonka movie. I love the original Willy Wonka. He's Willy Wonka. You don't know his backstory, and then they had
even more
his freaking back. And I hated it, man.
Well, that's what Rob Zombie did with like Michael Myers. When Rob Zombie redid Halloween, he gave us we didn't want to know where it was. It was great that he just a pure evil walking the earth,
The only Rob Zombie thing like that I actually liked, I did like. A lot of people hated his monsters, but I liked his monsters because it gave you the backstory of how did the monsters end up living in California. And I thought it was a really good story. It's a good backstory on how it all came together. You
I
know,
could not.
I did like Rob Zombie's Halloween. I didn't like the part 2 he did though.
Part 2 was terrible.
Oh, part 2 was
So terrible.
stupid.
that
But
was
but it
yeah.
was kind of cool how you didn't know like the mystery of Michael Myers, not knowing what he is, why he is, and stuff. Like they always got to go back and give this whole story. I like how the first one was for Terrifier, where you don't know what the fuck's going on. Why is this guy like that? And if it just ended there and it was a one-off, it would be a cult classic forever like that. But now, of course, if you're gonna keep it going, the same thing with Freddy Krueger. We had to learn about how he got burned up and what he did to children. So you have to learn the backstory if you're going to make 8 movies. It can't just keep being gore every 10 minutes. Someone gets killed.
Yeah.
And I see a lot. Go ahead.
We'll have to see where it goes. Yeah, for sure.
You got some comments there?
No, what were you going to say, Ralph?
I forgot.
You forgot. A lot of people I noticed though lately.
I remember. I think Art the Clown is the greatest horror movie villain since Freddy Krueger.
You said who? Already.
Since
what?
Since Freddy Krueger.
I was trying to think back, like what was the last one, and like I know that Ghostface was kind of an iconic, even though it's not the same killer in each one, but like that's kind of like the last real big one that was sort of newer. Where like there's not many of those kind of like horror icons. Like in the 80s, we had a bunch of them. You got Pinhead, you got Leatherface, Leatherface from the 70s, but you had a couple of them. And then in the 90s, you didn't get as many. But like Saw comes to mind is like the guy, the main thing from Saw.
Yeah.
But you don't have like this. I think like he's definitely a horror. I mean, you go to Spirit Hollywood Halloween and you see that he's definitely he's there. He's a major horror icon at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he's the best since Freddy Krueger. There's been some good ones after, but and I talked about this briefly before we started recording. Now that Terrifier has become like kind of like an overnight sensation. I know in the underground it's been bubbling all this time. But with the release of part 3, there's, it beat Joker and it's a low budget and already double the money and blah, blah, blah. Now is when the part where the haters come out.
Oh, of course. Oh, that movie sucks.
Yeah.
All over Twitter, it's insane the things that people are saying on Twitter about how bad this movie is and it's not that good. It has no story. It honestly doesn't need a story.
That's the part that they complain about. Oh, the plot, this and that. I'm like, I like how it's not explaining shit. Right. I like how it's just like bizarrely just keeps plowing along, man.
But they are explaining stuff. They're just doing it over like a big arc of storyline. It almost seems like he had it planned out, like how he's keeping it. Like it's a long. They want to probably do 5 of these probably, so they're trying to like keep them continuing as one story. A lot of times they make a movie, then they try to come up with, if it's successful, they try to come up with a story for the second one, where it's nice if you got like this big arc that you want to do, and supposedly he doesn't want to make it into like a Freddy Krueger where it's like 20 of them, or Jason, and he wants to keep it kind of, so it's not going to go forever, but in 10 years when they need money, then all of a sudden they'll start it up again or whatever. But probably be around for a real long time.
I got to say too, that part 2 and 3 were over 2 hours long. I mean,
part 2 was 2.5 hours. Film. Part 2 was 2.5 hours, and he said that was too long, so he shortened part 3 by a half hour, which I think was better. I don't think 2.5 hours was too much. There was a couple scenes in part 2 that should have been like taken out, like the scene when she went to the like club or whatever. I think that was kind of pointless. And there was maybe
they shortened a lot of scenes. From what I heard, they shortened a lot of scenes, like when he put the rats down the one person's throat and forced them in there. You only see a couple of them. Yeah. I heard there was like 20 rats that were going in there.
Wow.
And the aftermath was a lot worse, but they probably definitely had to be told that, certain shit you're getting away with more than anybody else, so you got to cut some of this out,
Yeah. Maybe there'll be some director's cuts.
And there goes another scene that was beyond fucked up. I mean, there's some scenes that, to me, they match the bedroom scene. As brutal as the bedroom scene was, there's other scenes, man, like the rats and the box cutter, man, and what he does.
Maybe it's just, for me, is all of that was spread out, and the bedroom scene was just so
It
much.
just
and
came
like
out of nowhere.
3.5 minutes of just torture,
Yeah,
and it was just
yeah.
like, God knows.
Oh no,
man.
I'm and in no way I'm bashing. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
cut the
I see
girl
your
in
point.
half with a jigsaw.
He's throwing salt on her and he's throwing bleach on her.
Oh yeah,
and-
that's another
Oh
thing.
yeah,
like-
salt, rubbing the salt in.
He ran to get salt and
Yeah.
what was it? Acid, right? Or vinegar? I forgot.
I think
Bleach.
it was
Yeah,
bleach.
and-
Bleach.
And then it comes back to it when the mother comes in the room, and it's the corpse is just sitting on the
Yeah,
bed, and
just
it's
sitting
still alive, and
And
it's
she's still
talking.
alive.
Still alive, yeah.
That's
God.
that's what makes that so bad, because her mother's seeing her, that way on the. It's terrible. You don't have kids, Ralph. You don't get it.
No, and how about the little kid in part 3 sees her mom dead? That was pretty.
Well,
brutal.
and then at the other scene at the mall,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
mall Santa scene is just there's a lot of people in uproar over that.
I
'cause
knew
there's kids
knew
involved.
something was going to happen, which is another stupid thing I was going to say before. People are pissed off about all the kids dying in this movie, but it happens in like almost all horror movies. It's not something new. But I really
What about-
15 little kids. Like there's
Yeah.
like 15 little kids in that one scene though. Like,
Right,
How-
yeah.
How
I thought he
about-
was going to let it go, and I did not. I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to be to the kids.
What about Sienna's dream in part 2 about the Clownville or whatever? It's like a kids
Yeah.
TV show, and it's Art the
Yeah,
Clown, and all the kids he's giving them all candy, and
And the
then he just
cereal.
pulls out a
I
Uzi and takes
counted
everybody.
I counted like 17 people getting killed in that whole sequence, including the girl he sets on fire.
The
who's still
burning,
playing the
the
guitar.
burning banjo, the burning banjo player is like the best. It's still going the whole time.
And then the kid
Yeah.
that eats the what's
cereal.
it called? Yeah, the cereal. He had a name for it. I forget the cereal, but it had razor blades and needles in there. And then you see him later on; he's all dead.
But they Artios or something. I forgot what the cereal
Something like that.
was, but yeah, I was like,
Some
wow.
Art Krispies,
Art-
I think it
Art
was.
Krispies,
yeah.
Art's
Yeah.
Krispies.
Yeah, they should make those. They should have those for sale at like Spencer's Gifts and stuff. I
It'll be
saw
cool.
I saw a funny takeoff ad today on it was a McDonald's Happy Meals, Art the Clown Happy Meal at McDonald's, and he was
No
supposed
way. Wow, even McDonald's.
someone's created it.
To make it.
Someone's created it. It's not real, but
Well, if you do,
Art the Clown doesn't like Ronald McDonald for sure.
well, if you do think about it, McDonald's literally is the biggest murderer in the world.
Yeah.
So
And it's led by a clown.
wasn't there it was a Saturday Night Live skit or something recently where like Ronald shows up to do a McDonald's commercial and they've replaced him with the Joker, like the current Joker. They were trying to
That's
change-
another thing.
trying to
Is this actor that plays Art, he's been like petitioning to play the Joker. Like that's like his lifetime role that he wants to
He'd
play.
be great because of those facial expressions.
Apparently, he's done it in some kind of independent Batman films or something like that. I was reading about.
He
So
does like
he has done
voiceover.
it.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, I've seen pictures of him with the makeup and everything.
Yeah.
And he
think
can
did
do the
an
voice,
animation,
like,
I think, or something.
Yeah, he does voiceovers and stuff.
They could just have clown wars, and have to throw Captain Spaulding in there and some of these other guys,
Pennywise, of course,
Pennywise,
and
yeah, man.
killer clowns from outer space. You got
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they were showing some clips from that before the movie when we went to the Alamo. Yeah. Yeah, that's a classic for sure.
Definitely. Come on, has anybody in the chat seen Terrifier? Has anybody seen any of the Terrifier movies?
Nobody's talking in the chat.
Nobody's talking about Terrifier. But what is very funny, last night I was on TikTok and I went on live and I found this new thing where I can actually just have random people come on and co-host with me, just do whatever. So I had these glasses on. I'm just being an idiot. I had these glasses on, and everybody comes on there laughing at me, and I'm like, "What's so funny? You don't know what this is from?" None of them. There was at least 10 people had no idea what this is from.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I'm like, how do you not know? It was like the #1 movie this weekend. Like, how do you not know that's in the movie theater?
Those glasses you're wearing, did you buy it and it was associated with the movie?
Yeah. They're from Spirit Halloween.
Okay, so they're selling it as
They are selling everything. They have these. They have you know, the hood, not the hood, but the mask.
I have seen flower sunglasses like that
Yeah.
years and years ago.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's how even in the movie, because I was listening to them explain that scene with the glasses and everything. He just ordered like tons of different glasses, just I guess from Amazon or whatever. Just got crazy ones, and he picked these and just threw them on. And they, became a thing.
One guy in the chat thought you were Elton John.
Yeah. But yeah, they got the mask, they got the glasses, they got jackets and t-shirts. I got like 2 t-shirts myself. I wish I would have worn mine.
Oh, they got a big animatronic. They got like these
the
little dolls with
thing.
different weapons. They got different weapons each
wow,
one of them.
we haven't been to Spirit of Halloween this year. They didn't put one here, so we have to go to another town to find one.
Wow. I'm shocked. But then they even got the Funko Pops now. My wife's been collecting those. We got 3 of them so far. So, but yeah, it's becoming so far. And apparently, with the Funko Pops, they're going to start making the other characters from the movie too. So that's kind of cool if you like Funko Pops.
Elliot will be actual size.
I hate those fucking Funko Pops because they just go on forever, and they'll make
they don't
50 different
stop.
versions of the clown. Then they'll make 50 different versions of the girl, and it just never ends.
My ex-girlfriend got me a Funko Pop back in 2013 or something, an Ozzy one. It goes for over $400 now.
Yeah, some of them do. Yeah, the Sammy Hagar one's worth nothing.
Well, I think Sammy Hagar started the Funko Pops, right? He started them.
He had a vision of them back in on the 5150 tour.
Mitch Wooten says, "Man, I wish I could see Terrifier 3, but my wife threw up on me last time and told me never again." So you don't take your wife.
By the way, did any of you guys at the theaters get one of the collective the vomit bags? Some theaters were giving them out. They actually had commemorative vomit bags.
I didn't see that, or they had Art the Clown popcorn bucket bowl too, but I didn't see.
Yeah,
they didn't have it at my theater.
There was nobody.
It's on the website. You can get it on the website, and then they also had the cups too.
There was like maybe 3 other people in the theater when I saw it.
Really?
Mine
was almost sold out.
Yeah.
I went to like a 1:15 showing in the day, and it was rainy. It was very rainy outside. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, we went Friday night, so it opened on Thursday. We went Friday night at 10:30, which I'll never go to a movie that late again because it's hard to stay awake when you've been working all day. But Linda was about to pass out. She'd been up since like 4 a.m. But yeah, it was packed. The theater was packed.
Wow, that's late too.
And then we did see a couple people get up and leave during I don't know if they got grossed out or what. So a couple people got thrown out for talking out loud in the movie.
That was the other fucked up thing that happened to me because I was late into my theater, and now you pick your seats where you want to sit. In the theaters. I don't know if you guys have the same thing.
Yeah, that's what we had reserved seating.
Yeah.
So we go to sit in our seats that we picked, and somebody's sitting in. And meanwhile, the movie's playing. I'm not going to sit there and argue with the women, get out of my seat, So I ended up finding 2 more seats in the handicap section, which it was fine by me. Handicap works for me, so that's fine.
I sat next to like 5 kids. They were like teenagers, and no parent with them, but you could tell they were all excited to be in there. And as soon as it started, they were like, "What the fuck am I watching? Oh my god!" They were like, but they loved it. They didn't leave. I could hear them laughing and looking at each other like, "Oh my god, what are we seeing right now?" So it must have been really cool for them.
That was the one thing I missed because where we were sitting, there was a big wall behind us. We could not hear anybody else having any reaction. So I wanted to hear people getting upset with something.
It was definitely the kind of movie you want to see with an audience. That's for sure. To see people cheering on Art the Clown as he kills people.
Definitely. That's like the first movie that we were in the wrong theater with. These 2 kids came in with their mother. I mean, they were older. They were probably like 15, 16 years old, maybe a little bit older than that. And they were just kind of like, rappy white kids. So you know how those kids are. They're just talking and about bullshit the whole time, being idiots. So I was like, all right, these kids are going to have great reactions to this movie. And they were there to see a Lego movie.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Man.
Art Bucket is up for pre-order now for 2025. Well, so I guess it's on the AMC website or whatever.
What is it? What's the for sale?
The popcorn bucket.
Ah.
Yeah.
I got Elliot's room if you want to hear what I found in Elliot's room really quick.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So there's a Merciful Fate time thing hanging up. There's an
Yes,
autographed
I remember that.
Tellaway, Children of Ballroom poster, Death is Just the Beginning poster, Carnifex, Slayer Testament and Carcass Tour poster, Marilyn Manson poster, an Overkill poster. He has his lame artwork hanging around. He's got a Metal Blade Records thing hanging up. Anonymous is some band that he's got hanging up a poster of. King Diamond, them, Arsis, Nuclear Blast sticker on his dresser, Possessed shirt hanging out of his dresser, and a few other shirts that are laying on the bed that I can't see them. I think one's a Slayer shirt, but I couldn't really see it for sure. It may be like a more recent tour shirt. But that was it. I paused it and tried to catch every little bit, just like the
He was
last one.
he in part two. He was kind of like the kid, just like we were growing up listening to heavy metal and stuff. He was a kid they were worried about. Oh, he's weird and he's into weird crap, and of course there's a whole scene with a in part two where there's a dead possum that somebody finds, and he gets basically caught with it when Art throws it at him in the school hallway, and also it kind of just goes along with the metalhead kid whole just stamina, the whole whatever it is around him, just the whole aura of being a bad person because he's a metalhead. But they said in part three that he no longer listened to death metal and stuff anymore.
Yeah, he outgrew it. It was a phase. She was going to buy him a black shirt.
Also, he was scared to death of what he had just gone through. I guess he's probably
traumatized.
He's probably like traumatized. He probably didn't even listen to music or anything anymore. He was just completely traumatized from all what he had been through in part two movie.
What a poser!
Yeah, he's sell out. Yeah, he's listening to he's listening.
I don't give a fuck.
He's listening to Oasis. Now they someone asked what did we think about the Oasis reunion or something like that in the chat a while ago. I was like, what's that got to do with Terrifier?
Well, it terrifies you, don't it?
Nah,
Yeah,
didn't bother me at all.
I love Oasis, but
I know you do.
I wouldn't travel to see it. They'd have to play like 90 minutes would be my limit to go see them, but they're playing Chicago, New York, and New Jersey, I believe, and all are sold out. By the way,
wow,
it's amazing.
I wouldn't leave my windows open if they were playing in my driveway. I would shut my windows.
I'm a big fan, man. What can I say? I have shitty taste in music. Whatever. I love shitty taste in music.
I don't have your ears. Somebody wants to know what we think of Texas Chainsaw 2.
Oh, I love
the original. The original?
Oh, part 2.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
I mean, the original part. They've done so many remakes
with Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper. That might be. I don't know, man. That might be my favorite one because Dennis. It's just good.
It's a lot of fun. That one. It's just fun. It's not as grimy as the original. It's not as grimy and scary as the original. It's more of a fun movie. Kind of like Terrifier, it's like the second one, a little funner. The first one's super grimy and dirty, But that last Texas Chainsaw Massacre was fucking horrible, though. And I'm a huge fan of that.
Oh my god, it was so stupid.
That last one, except for when he went on that bus and killed everybody in the bus. That was the one cool scene.
That was the best scene.
Yeah, that was the only good thing. But they were so stupid. The funniest part in that movie, that guy gets off the bus and he's like, whoop, whoop, they yell around the thing. I'm like, I started dying laughing. I'm like, you fucking idiot. Hope you die first.
Most of the remakes, man, they're just not good.
Well, when they did the first remake with Jessica Biel, so I thought that was
Jessica Biel.
Yeah, and one of the other ones where they did like kind of like a prequel thing, him being born and stuff like that. That one wasn't bad. But the last two of them, I think, were horrible. And I even hated the last, like, Friday the 13th. I thought that sucked. A lot of people liked it, but they tried to make it like it was a remake, and they kind of did the whole mother thing they did in like the first 10 minutes, and then it was like just another fucking Friday the 13th where he's just going around killing people. I thought it was horrible as far as being a remake.
Just recently
okay,
watched
so
that last Halloween movie.
yeah.
I'd never seen it, the very last one. We saw it a few weeks
Oh,
back.
that was such a disappointment. The whole 3-part thing. I mean, there was a couple of
Is
good
that
kills,
the
but yeah,
one?
the
Is
whole
that the
thing.
one where they kill Michael Myers and put him on top of a car at the end?
Yeah,
That shit
they're gonna-
sucked. That was
it
terrible.
was
Yeah.
just all three of them sucked. I thought, they were just. It was so unnecessary to go back to them and just drag the legacy through the mud. So
Okay,
I went to every
Joaquin.
one of them in the theater, and I seen all three of them in the theater.
Joaquin has a question here. This I recognize what he's saying, but I cannot think
That's
of this movie.
what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
All right. He says, I think I saw the first one, Terrifier, where the chick is getting sawed in half or whatever. But I've seen a movie, and he can't remember the name of it, but there's a scene where this dude starts to dress like a deer. That freaked me out. He carves her like he's carving her up like a deer, and she was a college co-ed. I can't remember the name. I remember that scene. I can't remember what that movie is.
But he's dressed as a deer.
Dressed as a deer.
So
Damn.
he's like Bambi.
I remember that
You
scene.
know,
I cannot think of that movie.
I don't know that, but you know what? That reminds me, dress up. Terrifier, the first Terrifier, that whole scene with the cat lady where Art like rips her tits off and he comes walking out, he's got
Yeah,
the wig on. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
so sick.
He's definitely a funny actor. The guy,
really
he
is.
does a good job with it. Does a really good job.
The guy who originally played him in the beginning, he wasn't even an actor at all. He just was like a friend of the production, and then they asked him to do the first movie, and he didn't want to do it because he didn't like getting the makeup on and everything. The guy regrets it now, but
Oh,
because he
I'm
could
sure
have
he
been.
does.
Art the Clown's going to be in Miami. I think next week.
Horror.
One of those horror things.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably like an $80 meet and greet now. I met him. He was like I think 20 bucks, but he's a huge star.
I know what that movie was. Barbarian.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
with
that was
Justin
good. I
Bieber.
like that.
Was that the
Not-
one? Not Justin Bieber, but
Not Justin
Justin
Bieber.
No,
Timberlake. What was the
No.
one with Justin Timberlake in it, or
Justin
something?
Timberlake. He was in a horror movie?
Wasn't that Barbarian?
the
don't think
Barbarian was only a couple years ago. I seen it in the drive-in when it came.
I'll be
I'd
right
seen
back.
it. That was a good one. It was
Wasn't that
one
the
of the
one
good
where
ones from like 2 years ago.
Was that the one where it was the people are staying at the same house?
That was the
They
one
didn't
where the
know
guy goes down into the basement and
Yeah,
he's like measuring
the
the
base.
basement. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The movie Justin Bieber was in was with P. Diddy.
Not,
It was called Baby Oil.
But yes, it was
Baby Oil
it
Nightmare.
was Barbarian Joaquin. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I
it
knew
was
I
the kid
recognized.
that was in he was in that Jeepers Creepers, the first one. That kid, he went on to do some kind of TV show. I
that,
think he's a big
oh
star,
yeah,
but
I'm looking at it now. Bill Skarsgård. Yeah, he was on. He was in. Wasn't he on? Still True Blood? Was that what it was?
no,
He was on.
Jeepers Creepers, uh, he was like the main kid in Jeepers Creepers, but then I think he went on to some kind of TV show that I never watched because he's like a bigger star now. But
Okay.
that was a good movie, Barbarian. It was good. Like 2 years ago, I think it came out or something.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Oh, he was on Castle Rock. That's what I knew him as. Yeah, it was a Hulu show called Castle Rock, and he played a vampire character on that. Yeah, that's what it was. That's kind of cool, Ralph. You might want to check that show out, Castle Rock. It was.
Oh, I own it, but it sucked because it ended and then they didn't it got canceled. So it's like
Yeah.
you get the first season and then it's kind of like Under the Dome. Same thing happened.
Yeah,
They
I
did a
hate when
whole
they cut.
season and
I've been watching that wrestling show, Heels, on net. It's been picked up. It was a Stars show. They did 2 seasons about this family that has a professional wrestling league in their Georgia, little small Georgia town, and they left season 2 with a cliffhanger right at the end, canceled it. And now Netflix has picked it up because of the whole Vince McMahon documentary, and I guess they're going to pick up Raw or Monday Night Raw or something. So maybe there's rumors they may be putting it back in, circulation. Maybe they're going to start filming it again or something. But it's been like maybe 3 years or so. So some of those actors
yeah, it's a
might be
shame when
tied
that
up.
happens and It's a shame when
I
that
hate
happens
that.
and they don't let them get that one last episode to just try to wrap it up, and give it an
Yeah,
ending.
yeah,
So it just ends.
yeah. It's so many shows like that, and there's so much stuff out there now. So I guess they just run out of. They feel like it's not getting enough viewers, or they run out of funds for it, and they just cut it, and then the fans are just left hanging. Sucks.
Yeah.
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 All right, Ralph.
Well,
Anything else?
No.
What did you guys really think of part 3? I mean, is it as good as part 2?
I thought it
I
was.
enjoyed it. I
I
like
thought
it.
One at a time. One at a time, Tony. Come on, Ralph.
I liked it the best out of the three, and I love all three, by the way. But I just thought part three was the best one.
But why? What was so much better from part 3
Uh,
than part 2?
it didn't drag, and it was nonstop brutal killing throughout the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, you don't go more than 10 minutes before someone gets killed. It's like
Yeah, I mean,
no longer than 10
get-go.
minutes, someone's getting killed.
From the get go, where a little kid gets fucking slaughtered in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Fucking crazy. And then
All of them have someone get slaughtered in the first, like in the opening credits of every one of them. There's
Yeah,
a
they're
big
like
sequence of someone getting slaughtered.
It's like its own little like mini movie type thing.
I like,
Yeah.
and I thought there were more creative killings in part three than the other two.
What'd you think of the
A little bit more money.
what'd you think of that like frost gun that he made?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I found that funny. He just froze people and hit them with a hammer.
Yeah. That's
The first movie cost $35,000 to make. They had like 2 million for the third one, so they can get a little more inventive and make them scenes work. Where that would have been hard to do on a $35,000 budget. You would have had some plastic hand getting broken open,
What do you think, Ralphus? Part 3, part 2?
Well, I was trying to think because I thought that would be one of the things we would discuss is what one's the best, and I really just love all three of them. Like I'm leaving All Hallows Eve out. That was decent for what it was, but that was super low budget. But the impact that the first one made to me, the griminess of it, just not knowing what the fuck he's there for or whatever, he just seems like a serial killer. And that whole scene where he cuts the girl and just doesn't stop it. I know it's the most low budget of them all, but to me, it's my favorite. It's what made me fall in love with this, and I love what they did with part 2. At first, I was like, "What the hell are they doing with the story? The girl with the wings, and she's like, it just got more and more
it got really
supernatural."
weird.
At first, I didn't like it at first, but then on multiple watches, I'm like, "All right, this is where you got to do this because you got to." Have us invest in the characters, and you got to want them certain ones to live and die or whatever. You see the girl that's like the big she's the podcaster for serial true crime podcaster, and she's an annoying bitch, and it's like, yep, you want to see her get killed, in part 3. So but part 2 and 3, I mean, I've watched part 2 more, so I really fallen in love with part 2. And I loved part 3, seeing it coming out of the theater. I was just like, thinking, what are they going to try to do to out top it? But I still, the biggest impact out of all of them for me was part 1. And I just love it all together. But between part 2 and 3, I'm right now, I'll say part 2. And it's kind of in the order that it came out for me right now. But it could change after I see the third one a few more times,
Very cool. What about you, Tony?
I mean, it's just, it's hard for me to pick. I really do like the first one because it was just the first one I saw, and it was just the introduction to Art, and he was just so creepy, and we didn't know much about him. It was more of a mystery. I mean, I'd seen him in the All Hallows Eve clips, but to expand on that some more, it was great. But part 2, like I said, it was so over the top. And then they had to top it this time with even more gore. It's really hard for me to say. Right now I'm still leaning a little bit toward this 2 as being my favorite one. Did you guys notice the brief cameo from Tom Savini in part 3?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Where was he?
He should have got a kill.
He does a little spoken word thing.
It was like a reporter interviewing him
Yeah.
or something, right? It was
Yeah.
like something he was being interviewed for something. He was a bystander or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Real quick scene. He didn't. It would have been cool if he would have got a cool death scene or something.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I think for me, part two, I think for me is still the best. But like I said, I gotta watch it again. Part three, but they're all so good. They're all really good. There's nothing. I wouldn't say one's better than the other. Just there's something scenes that I liked in part two that I like more than I did in part three. But also, part three I think shocked me a little bit more than part three did. Part three I didn't like wince away from anything. Part two I was like, oh, I can't see that, But
the glass scene didn't make you wince a little bit. The glass scene where she was getting happy watching her boyfriend rip that guy's face off. That scene was brutal. It was funny. Actually, I guess it was kind of more funny. I guess
they were a lot more funny in this movie than they were in the other ones. Yeah, that's how I felt. What were you saying?
Yeah, there's a little more humor in the new one. Yeah, I think as far as
I hope it doesn't continue to get more silly.
I want part, because the director's saying that's it, part 4, and that's it.
No, he kind of like went back on that now.
Oh shit! Yeah. I was hoping part 4 would be the continuation of this with no explanation and just end it.
Boy, you really just don't want to know anything.
and also in the history shows, man, horror movies, I mean, you can start off good and they're starting off way good.
Yeah.
But if they end at 4 and at 4 is just as messed up as the first 3, it would be great. But yeah, money will make,
Yeah.
Well, that was
I think part 4. I think part 4 is the story arc that they got in mind. And then they'll leave it open at the end, though. They'll have some kind of little thing that they'll switch at the end, just in case they need to make another $1 billion on the next one, But I think they'll leave it open. But I think the story arc for what he originally planned is going to end in the next movie.
The interesting thing too about part 3 was he had, after part 2, he didn't have like another part 3 written up at all. They were doing it as they were doing the movie. So I would imagine now for part 4 they do have an idea where they're gonna go and stuff like that. But part 3 was kind of like all done, while they were filming it, which is really cool because they did a really good job on it, And then there was also other movie companies that wanted to take over for Terrifier, but he didn't want them to do that because they're just gonna turn him into like crap, like what we get now with all the other things that we like with Halloween.
Oh, that would totally ruin it. If they lose control of it, that would ruin it. It would.
Or like what Disney did to Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They would make Art the Clown transgender. Or
he kind of already. It kind of is already. He wears women's tits. He's trans anything.
He could be anything he wants
he's
to be.
Trans Santa Claus. He's trans whatever.
I noticed at the beginning credits. I mean, there's several production companies that were involved. They have, what was it, like about four to six different ones
for the new movie. For the new movie, they had a budget where they actually had guys that worked on Passion of the Christ and people that worked on those kind of brutal special effects. So they definitely had. Because the other guy, the director, did like most of the special effects on the first 2, and so this one they finally got like a team come in. They said they worked on a couple TV shows and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have Slave Pit. They should have got Slave Pit involved.
That's what the Dead Alive movie reminded me of. Slave Pit, the way the blood would just squirt like a hose, like all over the place in Dead Alive.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, all right, guys. This
good
was
stuff.
A fun episode. I think we had everything to say what we wanted to say about Terrorizer. Am I correct?
I think so.
Sure.
Somebody says, Ralph, will you see King Diamond at the Mafia? Well, I don't even know what that says. Will you see King Diamond?
No. It's too far. St. Petersburg. Even though the last time I went to St. Petersburg was to see Merciful Fate in 1999. Oddly enough. But no, man, it's just I'm old, man. I can't travel hundreds and hundreds of miles like I used to.
He is playing 2 new songs now, by the way.
I saw it and I enjoyed the other new song.
They sound okay.
Yeah, Ralph posted one today and I got to check it out. I didn't see it until Ralph posted it earlier.
I liked it. I just don't like
it It was
I don't like the
psycho,
mask.
like electrotherapy or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
I don't
It's
like
got a
the
little bit of
mask.
a.
I don't like the mask he's playing. And then I saw other footage of them doing Welcome Home with Grandma coming out, and King Diamond is in an old man mask singing to Grandma. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with the song?
Yeah.
You know, there's no old man in there.
But
He's gonna
apparently,
hook up.
apparently
He's
that
gonna hook
mask
up.
that as the show goes on, that mask deteriorates as the show goes on. I don't know what the hell the mask has to do with anything, but I guess it's some kind of new thing. Well, because
At the end, it's Art the Clown at the end that you see.
But in
It's
Merciful
called
Fate, they started wearing
Grandpa.
all
They got a new
the
song called Grandpa.
The Merciful Fate shit I love.
you start wearing the horns and the crown.
Yeah, I love that. And the crown, that I loved.
So maybe he's trying to bring something to King Diamond, but I don't think he needs to do any of that. Just
yeah, I don't like it. And why is he dressed like an old man singing to Grandma? You know, as far as I know, King Diamond's grandpa died because you're only talking about Grandma during them and Conspiracy.
That's true.
Makes no sense. Who's that old man?
Maybe we'll find out.
Well, maybe he's from the song. There's a little old man.
Oh, that's Merciful Fate.
Merciful Fate song. Yeah. Maybe maybe they're hooking up, man. It's just, it's a date night at the elderly home.
Yeah. Is it Dr.
It's the hospital. Lucifer, St. Lucifer's Hospital, or whatever the theme is.
And another thing, he's out there on tour and the album's still not out.
Same thing with the Merciful Fate tour 2 years ago. They did the one new song, the Jackal song and stuff, and we still haven't fucking got that album.
It's supposed to be out this year, next month.
I like that new song. That it kind of reminds me of something kind of like from like Conspiracy or something. It kind of
I like that a lot.
Yeah, it sounded good.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. Year's almost over though. I
might go see him in Maryland in a couple of weeks. I hadn't got it worked out yet, but I may go. I got a friend going I can catch a ride with.
All right, guys. Well, this was a fun episode. I want to thank everybody.
Very cool. What is that?
What is that, Ralph? Count Ralphus?
It's just like it was like a plain white piece of plaster, and I painted it. It's like just like all the album titles for back then. I guess it's actually all of them.
So you made it?
Well, it was just a piece of white plastic that was carved out like that with the the titles of it. I just painted it.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, killer.
Very cool.
All right, guys. So again, thank you all for watching, and thank you, Count Ralphus, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, Tony. And thank you, everybody out there.
Nice shirt, by the way. Nice shirt, 7 Angels shirt.
Yeah, I put this on because they're scary.